as far as actually creep score and stuff goes, the Hellborn is still doing very decently.
You are absolutely right there. I mean, if you look at the creep score, the Hellborn are behind by about 100 creeps, but again, a lot of it's gone to Pebbles, who is frankly not useful, and the Legion side are going to try and take Kongor here. I wouldn't be surprised if the Hellborn found them. Oh no, they don't actually have that ward up there anymore, so the Hellborn going to be going into this blind, not knowing about it. Pebbles, with that haste ring, going to be scouting up around to try and pick them out if they're coming, but the big problem, the way I see it, is simply the fact that the Legion side don't have huge amounts of pushing power. They've got Forsaken Archer, they've got Torturer, but Forsaken Archer is a bit half-hearted as a pusher. Torturer is not bad by any means, but you have to clear all units around him first. You can't do something like Defiler or Polywog where you sit back. You have to really play up aggressively to take a tag down. That could definitely be an issue for them. Also, I think Forsaken Archer is going to be the one taking that. No, she actually isn't. It's going to go to Torturer, which is probably quite a good choice. He's got a Sackstone. Dying with the Sackstone carries real penalties at this point. One thing I'd like to know, actually, that the Hellborn side do have wards sitting right here outside their base. Gonna know exactly what the Legion side are doing. That's a good bit of warding there by Witch Slayer. I mean, Root, do you think they're likely to be able to take these base towers now or not?
Not with both Engineers and Kronos' ult being used. If they have to pop both of those, I think they'll easily save the towers. There's just not... I mean, there are some pushing heroes on the Legion team, but just nothing that can really beat those ultimates. I mean, they're just things that can clear creeps, like both Pebbles and Nymphora can clear creep waves quite easily, but that won't help in a Kronos ult. And yeah, so they can clear the creeps, but not much as far as actual building damage goes.
Yeah, Rampage there, trying to initiate for his team. He, along with Pebbles, is pretty much all they've got. Not being hugely successful, and really, the longer the Hellborn side can stall this Legion side, the more likely they are to win. And the Legion side, having to sit around outside this base, they don't have, well, they do have a concrete advantage, but they don't have really any way of continuing on. Fresh Free Fly is getting so bored, he's just animation cancelling his son to make an annoying noise. For those of you who are connoisseurs of this art, it's really very fun, but I do recommend Legionnaire. He literally just goes rah 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 rah. It's basically like the Lion King, only with one word in it, and it's rubbish. But anyway, enough of me giving you plot spoilers on Fresh Free Fly's new film that's coming up. I think the Legion side here reached a bit of an impasse, and really this can't go on for them. Rampage there, aborting another charge, not choosing to go into the base, and unless he can come up with something, or Pebbles can just man up and throw someone back, they're going to have issues, because they need to do something. Sitting back farming is not an option for this Legion side, as we've talked about. Kronos now has his Jomta's Bane, which is a fairly poor item for him, in my honest opinion. I dislike it on melee carries because of the difficulty of using all three illusions, and he no longer benefits from the bash. I don't think, touch wood, I'm going to be corrected here, I know it, but I don't think it propagates to illusions, so it's not brilliant for him there. And really, even that said though, he can pretty much get what he likes, because end game, there's nobody who can touch him. And now he's going to come in here. The Legion side,
I think it works on illusions.
Oh, okay, it does work on illusions, then I'll take word for it. But the Legion side trying to initiate here, but Kronos ult coming in with the counter initiation. Kronos there making me look a bit of a fool with essentially a double kill. Torture is going to survive, but not for very long, I don't think. Yeah, Torture there going straight down to Kronos again. Or not. Maybe he's going to escape. Maybe he isn't. Going down to Kronos in the end there, so yeah. Quad kill for this Hellborn side, double kill for Kronos, and the Legion side, they're trying to push this tower and really not succeeding, letting the Hellborn side come straight back into this game, but definitely showing that, you know, it's not working out for them. Fresh Free Fly does get his first smackdown. He's obviously very well as a player for his smack tricks, but oh, Kronos being blown up here by Pebbles. Almost a great job by Pebbles, but he's one head away there. Pebbles not being able to do quite enough, and now I think it's Engineers picked up a portal key. Yes, Engineers pick up a portal key. Portal keys in onto Pebbles, and Pebbles goes straight down. Okay, they're not terribly happy about that, but realistically, if you're going to portal key into people's bases with no support, you get what's coming to you, mate. But anyway, aside from abusing K, the fact remains it's not going terribly well for the Legion side at this point. They did dominate the early game, and they have got a good farming lead, but if past experience is anything to show by, they're going to really struggle to actually turn this into a win. In terms of actually being able to push. We've seen teams in the past do this. Ever since the pushing metagame was essentially not at its peak it's become really, really hard to win with just dedicated push. You need to have a carry of some kind who can compete with their carry. Even if you go into the game with a heavy advantage, it's really, really hard to actually take the lead. So, I mean, Root, what do you think the Legion side need to be doing here to try and get themselves out of this hole that they look to be slipping into?
I don't know if there's really anything that they really can do. I mean, they weren't able to push hard enough early game, and I think it's kind of too late now. One thing that is losing my train of thought watching this team fight, but one thing is maybe they didn't even really need a carry, because Kronos is going to out-carry anyone, basically, because his ult can just insta-gib anyone. Well, not insta, but you know what I mean. But if they had, say, Defiler, they would have been able to push those bases push things a lot faster, and probably would have won. But at this point, Kronos is just getting too farmed, and it's going to be a good game really soon.
You might all be right there. This push team, they had some early successes clearing the towers, but haven't quite been able in the end to just clean, well, not really, but just to turn that tower advantage into a definite win. Haven't really pushed the Hellborn side. Going to take 2 towers here. That nerfed Engineer Tinker still really, really good if you can tear a tower down before it expires, even though it's no longer got 100% uptime. And really, it's just, yeah, Ulf the Great taking a bit of a hit there at the start. To be honest, he's had a horrible beating in the early game. He didn't get his Jomus's Bane until about half an hour, which isn't great for someone so dependent on farming. And the Legion side now sort of joking and blaming him a bit, but I mean, in a sense he deserves it, but again, in another sense, if you're going to stick Forsaken Archer, who's a fairly fragile hero, up against a dual lane, it's hardly surprising. Pebbles here, trying to farm up a bit on the creeps, but I don't think there's much he can do at this point. I mean, Root, where do you think the Legion went wrong in the picks? Bearing in mind the draft that was actually available to them.
Well, even with these picks, I think there are things that they could have done better. Like, one thing that I mentioned early was that Pebbles really needed to gank more, and he was just farming up. Sure, getting that early portal key was really good for him, but Forsaken Archer needed help, and they needed to stop Kronos, and they did not address Kronos. And that's something that just came back to bite them in the end.
You do have a point there. I mean, actually, the Hellborn side already pulling ahead, but the Legion side really wasn't leading that heavily in kills, even though they were pushing very effectively. I do agree with you. When you've got Pebbles having such a great game, and you've got a Rampage on your team, when we've seen Hani show us exactly how successful he can be as a hero and as a ganker, you really would hope to see him being, well, just the Legion side in general being a bit more successful. But actually, this Rampage not been having a great game. DMX Zaku just hasn't quite pulled it together. He's 0-5-5, and that's really just a symptom of the fact that, unlike Hani, who had great charges that caught people horribly out of position and let him hold them into towers, Zaku has had charges that haven't caught people out of position, and he's had to cancel them, which doesn't quite have the same devastating effect on a team. Equally, Hani had a lot of success with that ultimate, taking people out into situations they didn't want to be found in, trying to use it to essentially misposition people, rather like gauntlets being used for in the most recent patch, and let his team annihilate them 5v1, or just in general in ganks, 3v1. But again, not seen Zaku managing to do that. He hasn't got his ultimates. I think it might just be a matter of positioning. He hasn't positioned himself quite right, or he hasn't been using it on the right people. Equally, maybe the Hellborn side just a bit more wary. They know what Rampage can do. They've seen Hani absolutely wreck Empire multi-gaming with it. Might just be that they're being really careful not to let Rampage keep them out or catch them out of position. But anyway, this Rampage pick definitely not really working out for the Legion side. Pebbles doing a bit better, but as you say, we have had issues with this Pebbles. He's ganked, but he maybe hasn't ganked as much as he should, though. That said, I find it hard to criticise someone who's got to 19 out of 22 of his team's kills. Forsaken Archer, as we've said, really suffered against that dual lane, and I definitely think that you were saying earlier about things that the Legion side should have picked up on. Definitely one of those things was Forsaken Archer versus a dual lane. Forsaken Archer needs early farm. That's what she's for. She dominates mid lane, she farms up hard early, she uses that farm to carry later on. That's what she's for. She doesn't have any actual scaling ability, so as soon as you remove superior farm, she's no longer a carry. She's just a crap ganker. And what we essentially have here is the equivalent of a Thunderbringer wandering around with a 40-minute Geometer's Bane. because she doesn't have anything else to go with it. So I think Forsaken